Hey, Blastroid here, back again with another Satisfactory save file share. You'll find it in the video description. And this is not just a one mini game, but a collection of mini games we call slug games. See what we got on the board. Of course, I had to put Battleship in this save. Why not? The game called Go, Hangman, Connect 4, Tic Tac Slug, and Shut the Box. You'll also notice that some of the games, most of them except for Go, are streamer versus chat capable. You can play your traditional two-player multiplayer if you want, but Battleship has a streamer mode you can activate, and the rest you could just play with chat normally too. We'll show you how each one goes. I'm not going to go into a full demo of each one, but I'll show you the basics of each game. I do need to mention a couple things here at the bottom. Do not open the map or you might crash the game. I think there's like 1,300 truck stations and hundreds of nuclear power plants to do the logic. This is vanilla. No mods were used to create any of the games. But it turns out that until they patch the game, it does kind of break the map and makes the game crash. Also, if you need to reset a game to play it again, just reload the level and you're good to go. Alright, let's go into our elevator and pick up our first game, which is Battleship. If you're playing traditional multiplayer, the yellow player is going to go in the yellow, and player number one is going to go into the blue slot. If you're a streamer playing versus chat, you're going to go into the blue mode. So when each player's in their ship setup room, they basically look at the board and they need to pull that number of switches for each ship. For example, Destroyer. If I click on a couple of these, we've now just set up our Destroyer ship, and you do the same for the rest of them. Now, you do need to hide your screen if you're playing versus the chat in streamer mode. And then you also need to come here to streamer mode and enable this switch right here. And now that randomizes the yellow side of the board and you can play against your chat. Now, chat doesn't know what their ships are either. You'll come in here, you'll activate the portal. Doesn't matter which switch you use, I just like the symmetry of that. And we're going to wait about 30 seconds for this portal active to go to the game board. Now, what's going on here behind the scenes is a lot of logic is going on to set up that game board for the hits and misses detection, the winning detection, the losing detection. And I'll show you a little peek behind the door here in just a second after we show you how to actually play the game. All right, here we go. Let me in. There. All right, we're here at our classic Battleship 10x10 grid. If we're player one, we're going to go up to the guest panel. We're going to go to the circuit break priority tab. And at the top, player one blue will use the top area and player two yellow will use the bottom area. So I'm going to guess player number one, guess A1. We'll look here. Imply is enabled. And it looks like we've got a miss. A little white square there. Player two, of course, would come over here and use the second section at the bottom and guess. And let's see where they go. And they also got a miss. Just for the consistency and timing of the demo, we'll go ahead and just guess everything on the blue side. Every time you make a hit, you're actually going to blow a fuse. Kind of one of the sound effects I added there. But you can see the panel hit. Green light happened automatically. And a door should open automatically too. There it goes. We got some nice slugs leading you to the winner elevator. And of course the loser gets a train wreck. Their elevator still doesn't work. The winner can go in there. I'm not going to show you on the stream what the winner area looks like. You've got to discover that for yourself. You've got to earn that winner area. Behind the scenes here, you can see a lot of belts were used to create this game. A lot of logic here. We've got 200 logic rooms for playing the game, another 200 for creating the sound effect, and then randomization for the streamer mode yellow is all back there. All right, let's go back into our elevator and get on to the next game. Create another shortcut right here. If you can't get back to the elevator, just respawn and call the elevator. You should be good. All right, back in. Instructions are on the wall for every single game. Just make sure you read them, and it should be pretty obvious. But you also have this video. It kind of gives you a nice tutorial. All right, the next game is called Go. Now, I did not create any logic to make this game at all, and I'll show you why. And this is the cool thing about creating minigames in Satisfactory. You don't have to go through the logic route. You could just create a really artsy level that's fun to play. This one uses the paint system to kind of do that. This game of Go is like Chinese version of chess. There are like... Oh, crap. Sorry. There are this many combination of moves in Go. It's like advanced chess. There's no memorizing Swarovski in 1972 did this opening move. I guess there are some patterns to recognize, but there are so many combinations it's hard to do it. I've included some terms for you, some instructions, even some basic play moves here that you can look at, and a little Zen garden. And then we get over here to the game board. We've got a nice little fish to greet you, and a panda bear watches you play. I went ahead and created 3 level boards. You have your beginner, your intermediate, or your advanced. Also, to take note, every game board does have its own boombox, so if you want to, just turn that off or pick a different song. But I try to create a little theme song that's available for each game. So for this one, you're basically going to set some color swatches to your hotbar. Player 1 will be black, player 2 will be white. And you're going to paint these pips, and you'll keep score on your own notepad or whatever. But that is the game of Go. Very Zen-like game. If you just want to talk to somebody while playing Satisfactory and play a game at the same time, this would be a great game of doing that. So that is Go. So let's now go to the next game. Hello, Sluggy. Alright, our next game is called Hangman. It's a classic kind of... It helped kids learn how to spell is the reason schools used to use it in their game. But I'm always a little curious why they let us hang people in school, even with a little game. Now, we're using a projector system in this game, so you need a couple of video settings set in order for this to work properly. You'll see here global illumination needs to be set to medium or plus. Shadow quality high plus, light quality high plus. If you can still see this number in this test box, you don't have your video settings correct. If I use my flashlight, you can see there is definitely a number in there, and I would need to adjust my settings, or for this case, just turn off my flashlight. Now the guesser would go in here, but not yet. The word setup person would need to go and set up the word before they're allowed in here. It's even there in the instructions. So I'm going to be the word setup. Now, if you're a streamer, you'll be the word setup, but you want to hide your screen while setting up this word. For example, I have the word slugs on the board. And what you would do is you would disconnect this first cable for all the letters you want to use. So S, L, U, G, and we already have S disconnected. All right, now we're going to go ahead and code the word. So the first letter is S, second letter is L, third is U, fourth is G, and we can reuse the S again for the fifth letter. All right, a couple more steps we have to do. We're going to go into the game board here. We're going to fly up, and we would set these letters to the correct word. And then the third step is turn off the lights and tell the guesser to come in the door, and they're going to be right here at the guess board. You notice we cannot see the word, and we also can't see the game board yet until we guess. If you're a streamer, you're going to ask chat what letters they'd like to guess, and you come here to the circuit break priority tab, and on the right side are all your letters you can guess. I'm going to guess a couple of wrong letters first. If you did guess the correct letter, they would actually automatically show up immediately right here. Game board takes a few more seconds to draw, and there we go. We have the rope and the head. That's 2 wrong answers. 7 wrong answers, and you killed somebody. All right, that is Hangman. We'll go ahead and move on to the next game. Oh, we'll show you a little bit here. So this is a projector system. I believe Hopcat a few years ago found this secret to create a projector system in it, and I took it and kind of ran with it for creating signs for details and stuff like that. But a really cool system for especially mini games. You can't have a lot of lights in one area. I created Battleship with lights one time, and after like 30 guesses, you get like 2 frames a second. So it does work for small games. All right, moving on to the next game, we have Connect 4, another classic. But I've done something a little different with this version of Connect 4. I went ahead and programmed to detect 138 win scenarios. That's 69 per player. I love that there are 69 possible winning combinations in Connect 4 per player, but I had to code up the 138 to do this. So what you're going to do is player 1 is going to come up here and pick up a solid biofuel, and player 2 is going to pick up biomass. You're going to break these down to little onesies. So biomass, we'll break some of those down. I already have a couple. And then you're going to go up to the container that you would like to guess. So there's 7 columns in all. So you go up to the container, let's say number 4. You're going to look down, press E, and I'm going to put in a piece of solid biofuel. And here in just a second, we will see number 4 will get an item on the board. I do apologize. It does take a few seconds for the game board to react, a lot slower than Battleship, and there it is. We got the blue. For red, I'll go ahead and use the biomass. I'm going to go ahead and do it on number 6, and let's put one on top of number 4 just to show you that it does stack very well. Alright, so number 6 should get a red here in just a second. Any second now. There it is. And number 4 also has a red. So, classic game of Connect 4. Now, when somebody does win at Connect 4, both of these hypertubes will become active. And you need to enter the portal of your color. Blue 1, player 2 is red. Because I've actually got a secret, depending on if you won or lost, what the hypertube will do. And I'll let you discover that on yourself there. But that is Connect 4. Actually, behind the scenes again. I'll show you that there was a lot to go into creating this. We've had to create the 138 win scenario rooms. The logic for the guessing here, I believe I used nuclear power plants, like something like 87 nuclear power plants, and a lot more truck stations were involved, like 300 truck stations. So a lot of development to create this game. But poke around behind the scenes if you want, but I'll show you a bonus level here in a second that might help you learn some of the logic I use to create minigames. And I hope to like to see what you come up with in Satisfactory. I love creating factories, but I also like creating minigames. See what I can do with non-logical pieces to make logic happen. And then we have a Tic Tac Slug game. Not tic-tac-toe, Tic Tac Slug, since this is Slug Games. Alright, here we are in Tic Tac Slug. Now, there are a few rules I like to cover real quick. Pick a color, purple or yellow, take turns going first. Pull a power switch of your color matching the number you want to play. After you tie, reload the game. After tying for the 100th time, go outside and touch grass. Never play any form of tic-tac-toe again. If you lose at tic-tac-toe, you're either under the age of 4 or just not paying attention. But I've created it in here. It'll detect wins or losses. This is not a hard logic game. If you actually want to learn logic, this is the game that you want to see. But let me go and show you how it works. We'll pretend we're player purple. We pulled number 5, and our purple slug showed up there. We'll pretend you're yellow and do number 1. And there we go. Simple, simple, simple game. If you don't know how to play tic-tac-toe, you're actually lucky. Let's get the hell out of this game. All right, but it's there for your enjoyment. Or lack of enjoyment, whatever you want to do. Alright, last game here is called Shut the Box. Now, Shut the Box is a game I'm not really familiar with until I created it. But I wanted a dice game, a very simple dice game, to show off that you can create a random dice in Satisfactory. I went ahead and put the instructions here on the board. It's like a number elimination game until you eliminate all the numbers, or whatever numbers are left, you have to keep score, and you're going for a low score here, golf rules. And then I even created a scenario here on the board. If that doesn't make more sense, this may help explain the system. But you're basically coming here and you're turning off light switches, hoping to eliminate all the light switches or get the lowest score after a certain number of rounds. Here on the board, you can actually set your round number, keep track. You can also do your scores here. Probably not going to score that many. And then your total score down here. You can kind of keep track. And it is up to 4 players here is what I got it coded for. But the dice is what I wanted to show you here. Check this out. We can turn a dice on, turn a dice on. And right now we are actually rolling those dice. But what you're going to do is you're going to turn off the dice. And you see I just rolled a number 5. Let's go ahead and do this one too. Or see if I can get it where you can see the dice. There we go. All right, turn that one off. And we just rolled a number 6. turn it off and on again. We rolled a 5, off and on again, a 4. I'm going down the list here. A 6, a 1, and a 2. So very, very random. Go behind the scenes here and look how I did it. But let me show you another way to kind of determine how I did some things. We're going to go into the last elevator floor, called question mark, question mark, question mark. Alright, here we have behind the scenes giving demos of some of the logic used to create the games. Also, there are no hidden areas, I promise, wink wink. So don't even go looking for them, I said there was no hidden areas. Alright, let's go into one of these, like randomness for example. Randomness shows you how I created randomness. And I've got some signs here, and then every room has its own series of steps and kind of logic used to create the logic. For this example, we have a 50-50 chance. If I pull this, you'll see blue wins this time. But every time you load the game, it might be blue or red. It's a 50-50. Couple other games we can go into, or not games, logic areas. We have light projector, showing you how to create the light projector. Pobcat, of course, discovered that a couple of years ago. Very cool system. We also have control item or power, kind of using truck stations to do that. Shows you a demo there. We also have hypertube pathing, how I used, like at the end of Connect 4, to take the loser somewhere or the winner somewhere based on if they won or lost. Simple little system there. And then item sequencer. You can control the pathing, or you know the sequence of the items on the belt. So if you want to power something on in a certain sequence, you could actually use this system to do it. And that is Slug Games. I hope you enjoy it. There again, look in the video description for the download link. And if you're a streamer and want to play it, you have my full permission. I would just say drop me a line. I'd love to come see your stream when you do it. But until the next time, have a good one.